Oh yes, legends, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing fantastic. Let's analyze the situation here. We got inflation lower than expected, just kicking in right now as we speak. Inflation is lower than expected. We are getting a little bit of pumpy action throughout the markets as we speak. Legends, how is everybody doing? Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button on your way in. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything's good, guys. Let's put some background music here right away as we do enjoy the technical analysis. That local volatility coming in right now, nothing too special, just getting a little pumpier throughout the markets. We can see also the S&P 500 getting a new all-time high. Basically, we are just getting that pumpy action to test the local highs here. Just getting a nice little rally. Inflation coming down here at 2.9% core inflation, and inflation is 2.7. Core inflation is lower than expected. Inflation rate 2.7. We do have 2.6 here as the forecast. Previous was 2.4, so it is higher than expected inflation rate. But core inflation, which is most important, is coming down at 2.9. Consensus was 3%. Okay, forecast was 2.9. It's actually as expected, really. The markets are getting a little bit of a pumpy action here. So it seems like the inflation is kind of pretty balanced, right? We would say, okay, nothing too serious here on the numbers. I was getting mixed up here with the consensus, but it is as the forecast, 2.9%, 2.7%. So it seems like interest rates are not going to go down till September. Let me know, what do you think, guys? Are you feeling bullish? We are coming to this base right now on the price of Bitcoin, keeping it nice and simple and easy for the viewers, that we are in this base right over here, which is getting supported, right? These are the higher lows that we did form just a few days ago at the $117,000. That is perfect for a liquidity grab, okay? We need to analyze this movement to the downside. Is it looking impulsive? Is it looking corrective? Okay, it would be relatively quick to get a V-shaped recovery from here, so it would make sense to get some kind of a little bit of a range formation here, okay, because we only just pumped very aggressively in the last few days. So a little bit of a range, a little bit of a bullish consolidation would be ideal to see this structure as a corrective move, right? Regardless if we dip down below $117,000, right? We want to see some kind of a corrective structure. This movement down is the first leg down, okay? It's the first leg down. It is rare to get a V-shaped recovery when you have such an aggressive move to the downside, okay? This scenario is very rare to see in the market. So I'm not expecting a pump to all-time high between today and tomorrow. Could it happen? Yeah, of course it could happen. Is it rare? Yes, it's very rare. So you wouldn't expect it, right? So maybe a range formation here, maybe get another leg to the downside. makes a little bit more sense in this region, okay? We'll be discussing that. Of course, we are getting a nice base of support here. And I think this is a zone where a lot of people will become quite bullish, where you want to buy Bitcoin, you want to enter some longs. I do get the point here. Okay, we are finding support from these higher lows. Very simple technical analysis. You sweep some higher lows, all right? You get a reaction, you get a nice base of support, and you also finding support at the highest volume candle, be it the 1 hourly, the 30-minute, okay, which is this one right over here. If we do extend this box right over here, we are actually finding a nice base in the last few hours where we have the highest volume candle. That is very common to see. It's just very common to see. When you have a high volume candle, right, the top of that high volume candle usually does provide support. And if you got some higher lows right there next to it after the next few days, well, it eventually just is a kind of a liquidity grab. You find a base and you know that this zone could get a nice bounce, right? Simple terms, simple technical analysis. Sometimes you need to wait for the best levels and the best scenarios to enter a possible trade. Now, we did get a nice drop of a few $1,000s, right, in the last 24 hours. Pretty aggressive. Was looking for possible support in this zone. We did finally continue to the downside. I was no longer interested in any long positions in this zone till we actually find a little bit of structure, a little bit of support, right? And, analyze the next information that we have, which is today, legends. Today we have this information and we're going to discuss the different projections, the different scenarios that could happen. Okay, so let's just, we'll zoom in through the higher time frames, okay? Analyze the different scenarios. It's still bullish, guys. Market looks bullish despite this correction of a few $1,000s. Well, it does look quite impulsively. So we're going to map a few scenarios that could develop. Also analyzing the most important levels of resistance and support so you can determine with your analysis if it does suit better, right, for your trading activity. First of all, let's say hello to the beautiful community. What's up, legends? How is everybody doing? I can see that like button lagging behind, guys. Let me just double check, refresh here on the right side screen and see if we are getting that like button getting absolutely destroyed. I always feel thirsty at the beginning of the stream, guys. Too much talk. Too much talking. My throat gets a little dry, Let's go. Josh Shots, how are you doing? Yo, it's over for the Bulls, says Axel. Oh my goodness. Axel, come on, don't say that. Do you really think so? There are some bearish case scenarios that I'm a little bit worried about, guys. But as the main volume and the structure still maintains bullish, this move, it is a little bit intimidating, yeah, right? This is the kind of dead cat bounce level, right? And then you get the next leg down. We need to talk about this, right? It's the first major leg down that we've had in this uptrend since the lows in June here, the 22nd of June, marking those lows at $98,000, $99,000, which we did get into long positions, guys. I couldn't stress this enough a few weeks ago, guys. We are bullish. This formation that is happening throughout June is corrective. And we are bullish no matter what, right? We didn't talk like that, but we did say that the highest probability was actually getting to all-time high. And we did get to all-time high and we created an explosive breakout. But this is the first major leg down that we've had since those lows, guys. If you analyze the charts, right, like a pro, right, this is why you're here. You can see that the legs to the downside since that low that we created on the 22nd of June, right, at $98,000. This is the first major aggressive leg down. All of the legs down that we've had, right, we've been pumping basically, right, from those lows. All of the legs down combined with the previous ones, right, this is an ABC flat right over here, were mainly corrective. No major aggressive moves compared to the previous ones, right? Then, of course, we had the major blast off, high volume, and we obviously need to take into consideration that it still looks bullish. We are going to talk about the bearish case scenarios because we don't want to be, we are traders at the end of the day. We don't only want to be those guys that's bullish, we're going to 150k, we're going to 200k. We need to adapt to the information that we have and the volume and the structure, right? We adapt with the new information. We have new information in the last 24 hours that is telling us, hey, the market has a chance of going to lower levels. Let's be honest here, okay? I was very bullish in this zone, very bullish. Only looking for longs. Great last couple of weeks. Long, massive profits. Do we continue being long, guys, and we go into 150k? Or could we actually be seeing some, aggressive dips in the next coming days and weeks? We do have that chance based on this information that we have today. All right. It's, this leg down is a little bit intimidating. Are we scared? No, the bullish structure still looks good. With the bullish structure based on this impulsive move that we've had, which is the latest one, right? Heading up to $123,000. It's still very bullish. We would have to get all the way down here to this area to start being, okay, it's not looking that great to continue Elliott wave theory structure, right? Which is very bullish still, right? Once we come down to this zone, which will be explained in this live stream, that's the moment I'll be like, hey, we're going to have to be analyzing the situation once we get to those levels, right? I haven't sold any of my spot Bitcoin, guys, just because I don't live out of my spot Bitcoin portfolio. It's in massive profits eventually from the last few years of buying Bitcoin. I did sell a small percentage, but Bitcoin is the main gold asset, right, from the 21st century, right? So it's just, I might not even sell Bitcoin, even though if we dip down below 100k again, I will consider buying some more. It depends on your strategy, guys, right? But anyway, let's go through comment section quickly, guys, and we're going to have to analyze a little bit of the higher time frame scenarios, right? Is there any bearish options? Well, eventually there are some bearish options, guys, and the bearish options don't look too great. They don't look too great. Would I give it the highest probability? Not yet. Not yet, as the structure is still bullish. We only got one of the biggest candles, right, throughout the last couple of days, breaking and smashing all-time high with high volume, right? Well, high volume on the lower time frame, right? This is something that is concerning as well when you take a look at the higher time frame throughout, the biggest exchanges such as Binance, Coinbase. The volume is not insanely aggressive, but the structure is what leads the way, right? If the structure is bullish and the movements to the upside still look quite impulsive, the movements down look corrective, we're going to have to lean on it's still bullish till proven otherwise, till the local structure starts looking quite bearish, right? And we start getting some big third wave impulsive moves with higher volume. Then we could say, right, it's time to get continuation, guys. Maybe continuation to the downside is going to be what we're going to be looking for. But it's still early. The market structure is still bullish on the 4 hourly, 1 hourly, okay? Still looks relatively good. So we'll be discussing what we need to see to actually recognize, okay, guys, it's not looking too great. Lower prices is very likely based on that information, right? But we haven't got that information. We got our first major leg down. That is a little bit intimidating, right? But there are some levels of invalidation, which will be discussed in this live stream. First of all, let's say hello as we do get that people joining on the live stream and destroying the like button, okay? Let's get to 500 likes, guys, and we might do a giveaway. Let's see how many people are going to join the stream in the next 30 minutes, and we'll be discussing some scenarios. Don't try to FCN are short, you are going to get wrecked. To the moon, bulls pumping, down. Stay calm, my man, okay? Don't stay calm. I actually not in a short position. I missed the short, even though some of the legends did get into a short position. Devil was talking about this area to get into a short position yesterday at the $123,000 zone. And I know some people actually in a short position. We are traders. It doesn't matter, okay? If I'm not in a short position, I do see the bearish case scenario, okay? Don't worry. Don't try to, short, you're going to get wrecked. No, I'm not going to get wrecked, okay? I'm not sure if you're talking about someone here in the comment section, but it doesn't mean if I'm not short, it doesn't mean I'm going to get wrecked. Where are you, Andy? I'm here, my man. Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Peter, Martin, loving these streams. Thank you, Martin. You're very welcome. Hey, Andy, where do you see getting support before the final leg up to all-time high? That is a very good question that we are going to discuss. Some different developments that could happen on the price action, guys. Okay, this is what we do on the channel. We try and map a few of the scenarios, how the waves could develop, all right, to basically take advantage of our trading setups, right? For the moment, yes, we got a leg down, guys. You know, I did miss this short position, I have to say, right? I could not make it up, guys. I didn't get into the short, all right, here at the highs. And now the price is looking a little bit punchy. It's moving down a bit aggressively at the moment throughout the last 24 hours. We are going to go lower. There will be a moment that the price will stop and get a bounce, okay? I would say it's going to happen relatively soon, right? I don't see the price dropping down to, you know, 105k in the next 1 to 2 days. There is going to be some kind of a bounce. Now, the overall question is that bounce going to start looking impulsive, or is it going to be corrective, right? Because if we do form that bounce and we form a little bit of a channel-y situation here, this ain't going to look good. If we start bouncing here and forming a little bit of a range, right, and the price is really getting exhausted to try and get to all-time high, well, I'll be the first guy to say, guys, this doesn't look too great. You know, this might just get that collapse down, right? So a little bit of more information is needed here as we just started our main first quite aggressive leg to the downside. Okay, so let's stay calm, all right? You know, we're very likely not going to get a major move down or a major move up. So we're probably going to, you know, bounce around, and depending on the structure that we form is when we're going to say, right, this is bullish or this is bearish, and have a high probability trade, right? You know, the moment I was more confident was in this range, guys. This is where I made my money in the last few weeks. In this range, I was like, move up, this, yeah, we are likely going to get a move up to all-time high and potentially break out aggressively, right, and go to 120k. This is, you know, when we have all of this structure and we analyze the waves, the projections look better. So we got our first information leg down here. You know, still in the next few days, we will have extreme high probability trading setups, guys. Extreme high probability. They always come at some point, right? And those are the trades that I want to get in. Those are the trades that you want to get in. If you shorted here from the highs, you know, congratulations. When you do take a look at the lower time frames, you know, 𝗬𝗏 was pointing out here lower time frame scenarios of rejection, which played out very nicely based on fib extensions. You know, kudos to 𝗬𝗏 right there in the community. So greatest bull run ever, says Peter. I appreciate you, Andy. Elminio, much love to you. My short is printing, says Suzanne. Congratulations on that short position. I missed the short, but you know, I'm not too worried. You know, I know there's a trade around the corner, right? We don't need to get into every single long or every single short, okay? But yeah, getting into this short was pretty aggressive with my style, right? Because I know a lot of people were looking for shorts in the last few days. Comment section was going crazy here with the swing failure pattern from all-time high and also pumping here. It's going to dump at some point, right? And people are really aggressively getting into shorts the last few days, which were in the comment section, guys. If you're a legit follower, you know, I'm not sure how those people that were shorting consistently in the last few days did. I hope they managed risk anyway. Okay, if we don't live above 120k, says put on mascara, we are at risk of visiting 70k in September. If we fail to live above 120k, 115k next, 110k, and then down we go. Yeah, yo Simon, how are you doing? We're going to analyze that scenario. There is you know, there is a scenario that's actually, you know, coming down to 70k, right? We're just going to talk about this because of the bears, right? That's it. You know, the structure is still very bullish, guys. You know, there's no major signs of that we're going to have a leg down. The next bounce is really where I am going to position myself in some epic shorts potentially, right? because, you know, it all depends on the bounce. Will it look good? Will it look bullish, impulsive, bullish market structure, bearish CVD divergence? You know, I need a bit of information to really see, you know, if I am if I really want to get into the short, right? I mean, that is similar price action that we did have, you know, back here, right? Where, you know, I did get into a couple of shorts here in June. One that I did get into was right over here, which was very successful. You know, this did drop down $5,000-$6,000 very, very nicely. But I didn't short the exact highs. I didn't even short this high, even though I was in favor of a, you know, three-wave structure to develop here. But I wanted to see more weakness and the bounces. And the bounces, you know, this one is where I successfully got in. So it really is depending on your style of trading, guys. So for the moment, you know, let's talk about the higher time frame bearish case scenario, just so we can, you know, jerk off, right, with the bears, right, in the comment section. And you know, really see, oh wow, this bearish scenario looks epic. I hope it plays out because I'm in an epic short. Well, you know, eventually we're going to see some waves develop, but the bearish case scenario in a nutshell would be potentially an ABC flat here on the higher time frames, right? Which it would still be, but it would still be bullish long term. You know, this would be the most bullish thing for a super cycle to happen. And the main reason why is because if you finish this being the highs, say that this was the highs, guys, just out of speculation for the bears. If this is the high at $123,000 and we move down aggressively in impulsive moves, right, in the next coming weeks, and we actually come down like this, there is a big problem here in finishing this wave to the upside from the lows, and that is a three-wave structure. There is no bullish structure, okay, that finishes a high in a three-wave, okay? This would be extremely bullish for an epic reversal, and you know, we might not get that bear market of 2026 and 2027 if that were to be the case. And the simple answer is this one, guys. We have moved up since the lows of April in a three-wave structure, okay? In a three-wave structure. You want to finish in a five-waver, okay? You want to finish the end and enter a bear market, okay? In a five-wave structure to the upside. And this is the only simple reason that if we were to top out here and move down aggressively in the next coming weeks, it would still be bullish. That is the simple reason, guys, nothing else. You can speculate with news and recession and this and tariffs and wars and whatever. The structure on you know, on the chart, if you're finishing a three-waver, okay, to the upside, yeah, you can finish a three-waver if you're forming a contracting diagonal, okay? So if you were to form a contracting diagonal, which is not the case, right over here, if you finished here, yeah, if you do have a pullback here and then another three-wave move up, there would be ways in saying maybe this is a contracting diagonal. Maybe we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and this fifth wave is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, yeah, you got three wave here and then another three. One more all-time high would be the ideal scenario to speculate on a contracting diagonal finished bull market. Your fifth wave is finishing in a contracting diagonal. But if you were to finish here, right, after having this wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no. Moving up in a three-wave move and then bear market, absolutely not. Yeah, the risk of going down to $70,000, but this would be the moment of load up, guys. Load up, because this would be one of the best levels for the next coming years to buy Bitcoin. You cannot finish with a three-wave structure unless you have a contracting diagonal fifth wave finished, which is not the case, as I just explained, which would mean that coming down aggressively in the next coming weeks, even though it could look impulsive, because eventually in an ABC flat, your C wave is a five-wave structure, But at the end of the day, we would be looking for that reversal. And that's just in simple terms. So, I mean, yeah, coming down to 70,000, right? $70,000 range is pretty aggressive, right? I mean, eventually the bears would be jerking off here saying, bear market, I told you, yes, right? So we still need a lot of information for that. Local market structure is still bullish, and that's what we're going to be talking about, right? But we needed to talk about the bearish case. And most commonly in an ABC flat, right? Expanding flat is hitting the 1236, 1382 Fibonacci extension, which is literally where we rejected, yesterday, right? In between the 1236, 1382 extension from your speculative A wave, which is this correction that we had between January and April, right? Okay, this would be your A wave, and obviously this B wave, which is 1.236 times longer, or 1382 in between that box, would be your speculative B wave for the flat. And then eventually, if that were to be the case, it could be a running flat, bottoming out at the mid 80K levels, or maybe getting down below 75K. I'm not supporting this idea, guys, because the local structure on the 4 hourly, 1 hourly is still bullish. And that's what we want to explain in this live stream. There is that chance for the most bearish case, if it were to be the top here, which the most bearish case scenario is getting beneath the lows of April, right, at the 75K region. Let's just leave it out there for the bulls. Don't worry, guys, we ain't gonna talk about this exactly as predicted or any of that nonsense. It's just talking about a possibility that could happen, right? Still a lot of information that we need. We need strong impulsive moves, corrective bounces to the upside, and we could determine some projections, right? In the next coming weeks. But for the moment, that is not the deal, guys. We just need to say it's possible, right? The moment that we do get above the 1382 extension and we do hit the 1.618 extension, we are putting this ABC flat in the bin. But we could be really topping out very, very soon, because we are labeling this, as an impulsive move, that eventually an impulse does end up finishing at some stage, right? There's going to be a moment that you create that 4-5, 4 and 5, and you're going to get exhausted at some point, meaning that the market could top at 130, 140K region, and then we enter a bear market. If we were to correct down in the next coming weeks to, very low levels for this ABC flat, this would be only a healthy correction to absolutely explode and go to much higher levels, right, in the next coming months after that, which would bring that super cycle idea. It would just be a healthy reset where institutions are going to load massively on a correction, guys, on Bitcoin. It's just facts, right? So if we do continue the bull run, well, maybe we'll pump another $10,000, $20,000, and we're going to top out at some point if the waves are not going to be, very, very explosive, right? Of course, the most extreme bullish case scenario is that we are still developing the third wave of the fifth wave, right? We're just going through higher time frame scenarios, guys, which would be we're still developing an expanding fifth wave, right? Let's just label this here as super cycle. And this is the thing. If the most bullish case scenario is that we've had our first leg one of our fifth wave. Not sure if you guys can see this, right? We got our fifth wave. Hang on a minute. I don't want to be in the middle of the chart. We got our fifth wave over here. The structure's still bullish, higher time frame. You got your 1, 2, 3, 4, long fourth wave, very common. And now your fifth wave. I mean, yeah, as we've broken all-time high, we got a 3 waver here. The flat is one scenario and then up. But the other bullish scenario is that we formed our first wave 1, and this is our wave 2. And this is still part of our third wave that should be extremely bullish for the next coming weeks. right? And we've only developed our first wave one, only our wave one inside, okay, of the third wave of the larger fifth wave, right? I mean, this is like, it's an expanding fifth wave. The structure is bullish. I mean, yeah, we need to go with the momentum, guys. We need to go with the bull market. I know the bears are like really excited because of this correction of a few $1,000s from yesterday. But yeah, for the moment, guys, you know, there's no major bearish signs. There's no major bearish signs, even though we got this pullback of a few $1,000s. We could get them with the new information. And as we do develop new information, which looks impulsive to the downside and very, very, you know, corrective structures to the upside with no power, low volume, bearish CVD divergence, then we can speculate on bigger waves down. But this movement down is very, very fresh. It's just a nice pullback for the moment, okay? So I just wanted to point that out on the higher time frame, guys. A little bit of a higher time frame analysis is very much needed. And, you know, I just wanted to explain, you know, based on Elliott wave theory, the structure that we have right on the daily, which still is very, very bullish. So now we're going to zoom in slightly on the lower time frame, right? We're looking at the last pivot, higher low, right? The first leg up. This looks very corrective. So we are looking at this leg to the upside. Where are we at, right? Where are we at in this wave based on the bullish case scenario? Well, you know, we have this new fresh wave to the upside from this low. It is pretty damn clear that we do have a three-wave structure developed here throughout June. We cannot lie about it. It's on the chart. This is a correction, right? So we got a new next leg up to the upside here. This was highly predictable analysis, guys. This is where we made our summer holiday money based on this range in June, right? That's where I gained my summer holiday money, guys, right? Based on the long positions that we've had throughout the last few weeks, right? Regardless one here, regardless one here, regardless, you know, this has been the bomb diggity getting into long positions and absolutely banking here. So let's analyze the last leg to the upside, guys. This is how we build up the charts. This is how we build up the new trading setups. It's just planning and looking at the structure and not being too bearish or being too bullish, trying to adapt a little bit to the market conditions. I do recognize that this leg down is a little bit intimidating, and it's a very, very quick leg to the downside. And, you know, a V shape up here, it would be rare. It would be rare to see. So most commonly you would get some kind of a bounce, very possibly could be corrective, and you could be looking for a lower high here and claim the lows again, right? I mean, this would be the best area to speculate into some epic long positions, right? Once you get this information, once you get that three-wave structure and, you know, recovery beneath that low, right? This is like common, very classic price action that you would want to see. If I see this development, right, in the next coming days, well, eventually, I'm going to be the one that wants to be longing very aggressively here to new highs, understanding that this is a corrective, right, three-wave structure. So, you know, you can see on the higher time frames, there's a little bit of lack of information and a V shape here after one leg down. This is very one wavy. So, yeah. I mean, could it happen? We'll be going through the lower time frames to explain a little bit this movement, all right, and try and map out the overall structure. But in a nutshell, what we do have, looking at the most bullish case scenario, is this ride over here, right? Which we're going to go in detail on the waves. We can take a look at some levels, right? Previous week highs, previous, you know, week lows, and different, you know, naked point controls, which we don't have many. But there's a little bit of an empty gap here, right? We don't want to see the price really successfully moving down beneath $115,000. I don't want to see I want to see the price failing to attempt breaking down in this zone. Okay, if we do successfully break down, then yeah, eventually, you know, 112, 111, you know, could be the deal. where we are getting to the highs of the range, right, where we could get that reaction and significant bounce. But overall, you know, I am looking for this inefficiency area to really maintain support, or if we do test it, then, you know, not break down successfully. And that has to do a little bit with Elliott wave theory and the bullish structure and the volume, right, which is leading the way, and, you know, potentially looking for higher levels in the next coming days. Why? Because the structure is bullish still. Okay, so we're going to give that explanation right away, legends, as we get that like button getting destroyed. Because I know I need to tell you guys. I know I need to tell you to smash up the like button, right? It needs to be said, right? So we got some people saying smash up the like button. So we're going to go through the structure here on Bitcoin. We can take a look at some altcoins as well. We are getting into an altcoin season, right? Imagine this going to altcoin season in the next coming weeks, and my cryptos have only done a 2x. Well, that was your altcoin season, right? Doubling your money, making a 2x is a big deal, right? But we are greedy in crypto. A 2x is nothing in crypto. Well, we know that a 2x is nothing, or 3x is nothing, but we also know in crypto that having our portfolio down 80% or 90%, you know, is very much real and common, okay? So maybe you need to be a little bit more conservative and aggressive as we do get into the altcoin season by taking profits, right? Be defensive with your capital. Take informed decisions that are going to actually make you money. Right, anyway, I'm putting my life savings into 74k limit orders, says Baby Genius. I think, you know, that's a low probability at the moment, but just to make the bears happy, let's talk about, you know, I had to talk about that bearish case, which is that flat structure on the higher time frame, which is, you know, literally labeling all of this as a 3-wave structure. That's what you want to see in a B wave. I mean, even though this C wave is very, very small compared to the A wave, which is very uncommon, you know. Also, your A wave took out the highs, or all-time highs, you know, which is also uncommon. You want to see that C wave taking the all-time highs, but it needs to be talked about anyway. It needs to be talked about because you are at the B wave target of a flat, of an expanding flat, right? Which is that 1236, 1382 extension of your A wave. So, I mean, it needs to be talked about. I don't think it's going to happen, guys. I don't think it's going to happen. It's low probability, and the main reason why is because the overall structure for Bitcoin is insanely bullish, right? Anybody that's been taking shorts here, make sure to take some profits and be defensive, right? You do what you want, okay? I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just telling you that the market is still looking quite bullish based on my analysis, guys, okay? So yeah, you take that with a pinch of salt. And we're going to be analyzing this latest move to the upside before we're going to go through the comment section and see what the people are saying. Make sure to get your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, your beer, your water, whatever you want, gin tonic. You know, it's Tuesday, right? So who cares? Anyway, let's go. BTC dominance tanking higher. Yeah, BTC dominance. We need to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance because it is continuing to drop. That is why we're seeing the altcoin season index, you know, getting that nose here to the upside. You know, that altcoin season could be on the horizon for the next coming weeks, guys. Will it be higher as we do want it to be, right? Making our 10, 20x's on some altcoins. I'm going to tell you that the high cap coins, realistically, we're looking for 2, 3x's, guys, if you've got a high cap coin, such as XRP, right, SEI, or, you know, you name it. Realistically, 2, 3, 4x is realistic target zones. Will it do a 10x or so? Well, you know, make sure to bank in some profits, because I know most of the people do get, you know, they do get hurt in crypto. You know, I have more messages in my DM of people wrecked than actually people making money. not based on my information, just asking for advice, right? So it's very common to see people getting wrecked in crypto. We will pump now. Get ready, says put on mascara. Yeah, well, we are getting a little bounce here. We are getting a nice little bounce, which is, you know, we want to go through the lower time frames. There is a way of counting this as a 5-wave structure, but also a double zigzag. Okay, there is a double zigzag movement here as a aggressive correction. That's what you get in a WXY double zigzag. They are pretty aggressive. You get a 3-waver consolidation and an aggressive 3-waver, and then you get the bounce. You know, what a better place to bounce on Bitcoin, which is sweeping up the higher lows and bouncing at the highest volume candle that we've had in the last few days. It's just like, it's like simple analysis, right? Not, you know, taking away Elliott wave theory and RSIs and all of these different indicators, just looking at the chart, where we are at the moment. You've swept up the higher lows of the last few days and you're bouncing at the top of the highest volume candle, which usually provides that big support. That's it, right? Right, if you want to speculate on why are we bouncing, right, on simple chart analysis, well, that's the reason. So let's go through comment section. We'll take a look at a little bit of Elliott wave theory, right? We'll take a look at a little bit of Elliott wave theory, the volume, you know, why the structure is still bullish. And we'll do that right away once we go through the comment section and get those likes rolling, guys, because I know you like the education. I know you like to understand the charts like we do. We do this, guys, and we like to provide the different projections and analysis from the last few days, but guys, not even months or weeks. From just a few days ago, last week, guys, we were trading in this zone. And we were very, very bullish. We thought, you know, even though we do take out these lows at 105K, it doesn't matter. You know, we are looking for an epic bounce here. You know, it's just everything was pointing. The most bearish case scenario that we had in this range was actually sweeping up this low, which I was like, I'm going to get into epic longs. I'm already in epic longs, you know, from lower and from higher. And I'm ready to, if we get down here, and I'm going to long, right? But at the end of the day, the most bullish case scenario did play out, which was this one, right? Which is eventually just off we go, guys. Off we go. Everything, the structure, the waves, everything just pointed out that, you know, we're going to take all-time high. We don't know if we're going to break massively. We'll take a look at that information later on. But on one of the projections, which was this one, was just absolutely flying. And this is the one that happened, right? So let's go through comment section and then we'll dive in. Sui's holding up well. Sui's doing awesome. 118K says put on mascara. Here we go. I shorted 122, closed 80%. That is the thing, guys. If you're shorting, make sure to take profit, maintain good risk management. Take 80% of the position. My TP is hit. Don't feel right shorting this powerful move. Mark, that is totally true. You know, make sure to take some profits. Hold a little bit of the position. You might get another leg down, right? But trade responsibly against a bullish market structure. And exactly on the fib 0.5 zip. What about RB? What about RB? Arbitrum. Arbitrum is great. I hold a good amount. Arbitrum, yeah, layer 2. They should be doing okay in the bull run. We can take a look at the charts later on. Guys, can we see Ethereum 2K again? I'm not too sure. We can analyze that Ethereum chart, Boomer, because we've moved up impulsively on Ethereum. And we haven't got a proper big correction on Ethereum. So maybe a correction could happen on Ethereum in the next coming weeks. We can analyze that later on. China is printing money. Yeah, M2 global money supply, guys. You know the deal. We are following the M2 global money supply. And we're just lagging behind on Bitcoin. So we expect massive amount of, you know, upside for Bitcoin. Don't get caught on the hype. Okay, I wouldn't, you know, the data... The structure is bullish. There is bullish news. Institutions buying, VCs buying, money printer going on, China printing money. You know, Bitcoin is the exit strategy. You know, there's a funny meme that I saw this morning, which is, you know, that classic Batman slap to the wife. Just as a meme, guys. And, you can see the wife asking, Batman saying, what is the exit strategy? What is your Bitcoin exit strategy, guys? What's your Bitcoin exit strategy? And, you can see Batman slapping the girl there and saying, Bitcoin is my exit strategy, right? Bitcoin is the exit strategy, right? This is like super Bitcoin maximalist, right? Such as Michael Saylor. You don't sell your Bitcoin. There is no second best. Bitcoin is the one. There is no exit strategy. Bitcoin is the exit strategy, right? This is like for Bitcoin maxis. Anyway, Jack, Andy, since Bitcoin dominance isn't an asset, does volume in that chart matter at all? Yeah, I mean, the thing about the volume on the Bitcoin dominance, the volume here is basically labeled on the amount of Bitcoin selling pressure, right? So you might see the selling pressure or change against. This is why you have Ethereum BTC chart, because you can sell BTC for Ethereum, right? So the volume is calculated based on all of these different swaps of different cryptos, right? Because you have the BTC SUI chart, you have the BTC Ethereum chart, right? So people do sell Bitcoin to buy other altcoins, and the volume is reflected based on that. And we are seeing a little bit of Bitcoin selling pressure for some altcoins. So could it be the initial signs, right, where we're going to start seeing that transition from Bitcoin into altcoins? Maybe this is the first initial volume in signs that we are getting, which is very, very common to see, right? I mean, I wouldn't say, if we do take a look at the previous ones, I mean, the highest amount of volume eventually, started to kick in here before the major drop. But I wouldn't say it's too relevant, okay? It's not really too relevant. So anyway, let's go through. I don't sell my Bitcoin ever, says Bigger Brain. Yeah, this is the thing. Bitcoin is the exit strategy. Devil, the man himself, the legend, the one who called the short position in the Discord early morning, my man. I was in the gym at that time, so Devil the man is in the comment section, a coach in the Legends trading community, which is providing the absolute insane updates. He did do a private live stream for the Legends community today. Absolute legend. Here he is, guys, the man himself, Devil. Okay, make sure to go and check out his YouTube channel, which is Devil Trading, and subscribe because he is an absolute master. I don't sell my Bitcoin ever, says Bigger Brains. Absolutely. Andy, my bother. Catch my last question if you can, please. It's two-parted above 5 minutes ago, but really need to. Okay. Oh my goodness. Can we find that, baby genius? Can we find that? Yeah, I can't go through all the comment section, guys. It's impossible. I'm putting my life savings at 74k limit. Okay, it's I did read that one, but where's the question? Since we are bullish, I had to liquidate spot bags, which I did. And I need to re-enter a ZAP. It's 2.2 BTC. Very good. That's a significant amount. Man, if you hold 2.2 Bitcoin for the next coming years, I can tell you, you are good. This is why I do have some Bitcoin just there, because I know it has the potential to sort your life out in 5-10 years, right? A 2.2 Bitcoin even, right? If it gets above $1 million, then there you go. A few million there for the average Joe is life-changing money. What levels to look here before we jump up too high? I already put 0.5 in 117k. Wow, I mean, this is risky, right? This is the moment where this is like the typical emotion moment, right? Where should I sell my Bitcoin? Should I re-enter again? What should I do? This is we are starting to get into euphoria stage, guys, as we broke to all-time high. We usually get a bear market. Bitcoin moves in cycles, right? And if we do get a big recession or something happening worldwide, energy crisis or World War III or whatever, can trigger a massive bear market, right? Usually the market moves in cycles. The 4-year cycle theory is still very much active. Some people say that the 4-year cycle theory is finished, right? It doesn't exist anymore. we are inside of the bull market year, which is 2025. 2021 was the bull market year. 2017 was the bull market year. 2025 was the bull market year. It is the bull market year. Come on, guys. We're at all-time high in the summer of 2025 after looking at the 4-year cycle theory, right? 4 years previous, 2021, bull market, big rally, another high here at the end of the year. 4 years earlier, 2017, end of 2017 is when we ended that bull market. So you would expect a bear market, guys, right? Even though there's mass adoption, there's no bear market. This is what usually happens at a euphoria stage, right? And you start seeing retail jumping in like crazy. If we do get euphoric and this ends up being an expanding fifth wave where you have your wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we get to 140, 160. And that's the moment I would say, yeah, it's maybe a good time to sell, some Bitcoin when it's getting very euphoric. Buying and selling are here on spot bags, unless you're going to hold it for the long term and you're going to be buying more on a possible correction in the next coming months. It's just really a little bit pointless, okay? It is a bit pointless in my opinion. Just hold on to your Bitcoin if you or do trading, right? Get 10% of your spot bags, which is what I do, right? And, just use that for intraday swing trading scenarios, right? But if it's spot bag, just buy and hold for the long term. It's just a very, very simple strategy and effective. What price are you looking to short Bitcoin, says an AMTA? Well, yeah, we'll talk about that right now in the next couple of minutes. Exactly, but the exchange wouldn't let sending for transfer, so I had to sell it, and I'm crack in for now. I just put 0.5 and don't know where in my chart, or at least get my exposed crazy. Man, cracking. Look at the macro chart here. BTC is definitely moving different than the previous cycle. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we need to move the same. I mean, not like the 4-year cycle. Does current triple top, triple bottom look convincing to you? Triple bottom, 𝗬𝗏, is that on the local price action? A triple bottom. We're going to dive onto Bitcoin, guys. Enough of the comment section. We'll go through the comment section later on, okay? But we need to talk about the Bitcoin structure and, what are the levels that we are interested in, okay? So I'm going to keep it quite simple for the viewer, all right? And zooming in here on the higher time frame, what we do see here, we're still labeling this scenario, this original idea of breaking out of all-time high and looking for waves to continue to the upside from the previous weeks. It is still the general idea, and that's what we need to lean on right now as the market is still bullish, finding support, and that's this idea right over here, right? Which obviously with the new information, we do adapt to the new information. So what we do currently see from that low of the 22nd of June, which was just a few weeks ago, pretty insane, right? Nice pump of, what is it, $25,000 almost? Very, very insane pump. Just a pump in a matter of 2 to 3 weeks of 25% on Bitcoin, which is massive. You got your first initial leg to the upside, second leg to the upside with a correction, and then this leg up, right? So from this correction, which, we can really look at many scenarios, such as a sideways WXY with a triangle, without a triangle, right? With finishing your wave here or here, it doesn't really matter. Your initial wave to the upside starts from this area. And this initial wave up got this tight correction, and then we got our next leg to the upside, which was the most explosive one, hitting $118,000, which we always need to label as a possible wave 3, as it is the most common scenario when you're looking at a market in an impulse. With high volume, you always give it the first highest probability scenario based on Elliott wave theory. Highest amount of volume, the highest amount of price action, wave 3 till proven otherwise. Wave 3 till proven otherwise. How can we be proven otherwise? Well, obviously, you know, starting to correct. We eventually want to be in that wave if we do get a breakdown. Then if we do break down here, then yeah, okay, well, you know, this was it, right? This is not the wave 3 that we're looking at because we corrected too much. But for the moment, we need to label all of this movement to the upside your wave 3, right? We can go to the 1 hourly time frame. We don't need to go to lower time frames here. So highest amount of volume, you've developed a wave 3 here, right? Where you have, from the start of this correction, you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? This is literally how we need to label this, right? As still potentially the highest probability scenario, till proven otherwise, which will be breaking down below to much lower levels, right? Now, if we do take a look at this, highest amount of volume, biggest move, breaking all-time high, we label it a wave 3, right? Your second wave 3 from your second wave 1 and 2. So we still have potentially more upside if we label this the low. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 and 5, right? We're looking for higher levels potentially in the next, you know, couple of weeks, give or take. Where we want the price to bounce, where we want the price to hold, is literally the 382 to the 50% Fibonacci, right? That is the zone. 382 is doing the job at the moment, right? We've got a bit of that volatility. We do have some initial support confluence, which is the highest volume candle of this uptrend, which is this one right over here from the 11th of June, right? As we do explain it on the chart, the top of this candle on the 1 hourly 30-minute is the one that's providing that support throughout today. We swept the lows, which is a great reset, a nice little liquidity grab from higher lows. A lot of people putting stop losses here to try and, you know, continue the momentum to the upside. They stop them out and then you reset the possible bullishness. 382 to 50% Fibonacci, if we are going to be labeling this as how we're counting it here, well, your wave 4 should be bouncing here in the 382 to the 50% Fibonacci, right? Taken from this pivot low. You know, this is the zone of support. This is the zone of support. Now, that doesn't mean that we could actually get a leg down here in the next coming, you know, couple of days. Just because this movement down that we've had does actually look pretty aggressive, guys. Let's not lie here. This new information that we do have from today, you know, there is a way of counting this as a 5-wave structure with a bit of an expanding 5th wave, right? We can see those lower highs after the movement down. You got a lower high right over here, and you got a lower high right over here, right? And then, you know, this was a pretty aggressive move down that we've had. So you got that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There is a double zigzag fit here. You can fit a double zigzag, but it does look a bit 5 wavy with an expanding 5th wave. Now, most commonly on the bounce, your 4th waves, okay, your wave 4, which we would label this one right over here, you know, it is common for the retracement to get up there. So we do have a naked point of control. It's the previous day point of control, basically, right? I mean, let's get the fixed volume profile here from this entire range. Well, we got, yeah, volume is high here, but you can see that spike on the volume profile, right, which is literally from this consolidation. It is the previous day point of control, and that's where we do have the high volume node in this consolidation, which is where the price could definitely struggle to get above, right? High volume node from this consolidation, naked point of control, previous day point of control, previous day valley area low, right? Yesterday's price action, that's the information that we got right over here. So, you know, the moment of struggle is definitely going to be that 120k zone. Will it break out successfully from that 120k zone is my question. I don't know, but it is a zone of failure. This is a zone of failure, especially considering that possible 5-wave move down. Common area to get on the retracement is that 4th wave, right, which would be that 120k, 120.5k zone. And you got 120k, that naked point of control from yesterday, the daily open, right, as well from today, starting off there, previous day, value area low, right? If you eventually break out from this zone, right, give or take, you know, you could definitely flip that zone into support and just continue the upside momentum. So if you do get that bounce, boom, 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 corrective structure, higher low, and sweep up here, this zone, and you do struggle to get above this area, well, you know, in simple chart analysis on Elliott wave theory, possible 5-wave down, you know, possible bounce, you know, in a corrective structure, hitting that big major level of resistance, of confluence, which would be that, you know, previous day point of control, the highest volume node from yesterday. You know, it's a moment of struggle. All right, it would be a moment of struggle without a doubt. If we do take a look at Fibonacci, it should be around about the 50% to the golden pocket, right? Where we do have that point of control, 50% Fibonacci, and golden pocket could be that trick area, right, where the price does struggle. You know, you sweep up here, it's a swing failure pattern area, lower highs, and you get that pullback. You know, this, you know, I would really prefer that zone out of speculation to get into a short here at the golden pocket from all-time highs to the current lows, because you have golden pocket and you have the lower highs right there. You know, if we get up there or not in the next coming hours or a couple of days, you know, it is that zone of interest. It is that zone of interest without a doubt. Could the point of control be, you know, the zone of struggle? Well, I want to see it struggling before I take a decision. I don't want to get into the first pump in a short position. I need to see it struggle right there in a kind of a 3-wave structure, right? So I can speculate on that, you know, possible next leg down to claim the lows. So, you know, we're going to have to see how we get up there, right? In simple terms, that is the confluence area where we have the previous day point of control. We do have the previous day value area low. We have the daily open at 120k area. And if we get that, you know, extra squeeze or trying to break out, where, you know, there is that more aggressive short zone of confluence, which is the golden pocket, where we have those lower highs of yesterday, right? Nice consolidation, which is usually a liquidity grab, right? In simple terms, guys, right? These higher lows right over here, you know, that's where we're bouncing as support after sweeping up, right? You get a bit of a struggle here, proof of support, boom, you get that bounce. You know, can this bounce go to higher levels? Well, you know, this is the zone of struggle, right? Golden pocket and the lower highs. You know, you might get a little bit of choppiness here and then get the pullback. Question is, will this pullback be aggressive or not? Could this be the low? Well, it all depends on how, you know, bullish this is, right? You know, we might just move up here, we correct, and we get a leg up. If that were to be the case and the price continues pumping, right, we could label this as a wave 3, and it just breaks and breaks and breaks. I will be not interested in taking this short. If we were to get this information and it's just breaking the levels of confluence, which eventually we would label as a possible bullish, you know, bullish breakout. So yeah, I mean, for the moment, the local trend is down. The local trend is down here. It would be interesting if with this bounce, I mean, the most bearish case scenario is eventually labeling this as a 1-2, you know, and your third wave formation is still happening, where you know, you're literally just going to break down, and all of this is your wave 3, and you have double 1-2 setup here, and you're just forming the first leg down of your wave 3. I mean, this is eventually also possible. I mean, if we were to form this structure in the next coming days, where we are moving down and volume increases here, that will be the moment, guys, of doubt. Okay, that I will definitely be starting to be in doubt here on the bullish momentum to continue in the for the next coming weeks. Right, we would want to see that corrective structure here. If we move up in very corrective matter, very choppy and very slow after this aggressive move down, then eventually I would be the first one speculating, guys, that a lower high is very likely and we're going to get another leg down. That lower is likely based on this information, if we were to get this information. For the moment, I don't have this information, so most of the scenarios are looking for bullish momentum to continue, right? So losing my voice here slightly, but so just a few of the local scenarios. Eventually, if we were to get that bounce from here, awesome support where we're at right now. It is very, very good support. But if we were to get that bounce, I mean, zones of speculation, of confluence, is in between 120 and 125k, 120.5k, sorry, for a possible lower high zone. Okay, it is without a doubt a possibility, which, you know, we'll be paying attention very closely, right, between today and tomorrow, right, with the legends or on the Telegram to see if it is interesting to actually, you know, take that short. Eventually, if we break out, then, you know, just not going to be interested. Then, you know, if we were to move down, you know, possibly only just sweep up this low and we get acceptance back above, well, in simple terms here, we'll just be looking at a possible three-wave structure, but we need that epic rally back in to get acceptance back above the lows. You know, and this could be very, very bullish, right? This could be your next swing long to take out the highs, because it will be a confirmed descending wedge, bullish pennant, if you wish, right? Descending wedgie structure. As you can see, all of these different scenarios require more information. They require more waves. But it's, you know, some of the scenarios that could develop, right? Levels are talked about. It's still bullish. It's still bullish. What can we say? What can we say, legends? Around 120k, the alts will loading up like never happened before. Very true, my man. Look at the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is actually, you know, yeah, it's moving down. We've got high volume. We've got a lot of Bitcoin to altcoins flipped. This could really maybe start collapsing down. We just don't know. Maybe this is the initial stages, right, where you have the multiple 1-2s here, people just getting ready, and then bang, right, and you start forming that big aggressive drop, you know, forming a 5-wave move. You just got the first 1-2s getting developed right now. Maybe it's possible. Of course it is. I have my altcoins. I have my favorite altcoins already in the bag, so I would just be happy for that to happen. Let's understand that the Bitcoin dominance is still in bullish market structure, right? There's been lots of excitement here on the Bitcoin dominance with these legs down, okay? There's been lots of excitement. So there's nothing, it will happen eventually at some point, right? At some point, regardless if it's this one or not, at some point we are going to get that leg down, okay? It's you know, the question is it this one, or will it be the next one, or will it be the next one, right? At some point there will be that collapse. So as we don't have a crystal ball, but we understand the probabilities behind this happening at some point, you just need to be positioned at the base on most of the altcoins, right? As we've been talking about in the last few weeks, right? How many times we talked about, you know, this is corrective. If you want to load up on this coin such as XRP or ICP, which is still very much lagging behind, you know, you need to load up on your favorite altcoins before that season happens, right? That altcoin season happens. Anyway, let's go through comment section and you know, analyze this situation. Bitcoin is getting a little bit of a bounce here from the base, so for the moment, all good. It does look like that it could be heading to 120k, which is where we have the strongest resistance area of confluence, right? You know, this is the area where the price could struggle for Bitcoin, right? So for the moment, big aggressive correction down. It could be impulsive. It can be labeled as a correction double zigzag. So yeah, it just really depends on how we move up from here. But longing is still attractive for Bitcoin, right? Longing, especially at good levels of support and base. with good risk management are still looking at, it still looks attractive for Bitcoin to long. At some point, there will be a nasty dump. You know this. Eventually, there will. Of course, there will. Of course, there will. Okay, but when we take a look at the probabilities, guys, probabilities have been in the last few weeks that we likely going to pump and see all-time high. I mean, even, we can get previous streams, guys. We're looking at this to be a correction. This leg down, I was feeling aggressive to catch this falling knife, guys. I was feeling so aggressive just because of this leg down on your wave W was very corrective. Okay, and I know a lot of people were labeling this as a 5-wave impulse, but that was not the case. It was explained back in the day, and there was so many overlap here in this structure, so many 3-wavies, that it was like, this is unlikely to move successfully lower than 97, 98, 96k. A lot of people will say 92k, boom, 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 bear market, right? But this is the emotions move with the price action, but looking at the analysis, this was the moment of confidence, right? When there is that moment in your trading career that sometimes you get into trades very, very confident. You're very, very confident on your trades. And this was one of those trades that I felt very, very confident about. And it was explained, right, days in advance when we were trading above 100k, guys. If we lose this low, I don't see it breaking down aggressively. So I'm gonna pack up my longs, right? We had a major swing movement in a few weeks, just in 2 weeks, right? So right now, eventually, the information is not enough. The information that we have, I need to, just going with the market structure and the trend, I need to still be bullish based on the volume and based on the impulsive moves and based on the corrective structures. It is true that this movement down is looking a little bit intimidating, which eventually could provide that lower high and move lower. Okay, it is true, guys. I cannot deny that because it's on the chart. It's information that I do have that is telling me maybe this is the first leg down from more legs down to happen. But I need more information. I need a very corrective bounce to happen with bearish CVD divergence and struggle to get above these major levels that we have above us, which is 120k zone. If we struggle very much, I would definitely speculate on a lower high and look for a third wave down, regardless if it is going to get continuation later on or not. I want to be in this wave. I don't mind being the guy that catches the highs, right? I want a bit of more, probabilities into my side, which, I don't have for the moment, right? I don't have for the moment. First initial sign is this one over here. So I understand that a lower high is very much a possibility, but we'll get to that, right? We'll cross that bridge once we get to 120k, all right, and see how the price reacts at that zone and how we got up there, most importantly. So there is a possible count here on a double zigzag, okay, as a 3-wave structure. I kind of prefer the 5-waver, but as the overall local trend from the last, not only few weeks, few months, is actually bullish, and the movements to the upside are still very bullish, right? The moment that you get, right, this is from the last few weeks, guys. The reason why I was so bullish in this region, guys, is because the movements up are extremely bullish and the movements down, counting the waves and the scenarios and the overlaps and too many 3-wave structures up and down, you're just very, very bullish. So when we get this breakout to the upside and we analyze the structure, it's truly is quite simple, guys, to be in the right side of the market on the higher time frames, right? The movements up are very impulsively, the movements down are incredibly corrective. Big move up impulsively, 5 waves, high volume in the middle. This this is correction. This ain't going anywhere. This ain't going down. This is going up. This movement up, boom, still extremely explosive. It's where we have the highest amount of volume. And, you know, eventually, I think we had this little correction a few days ago, and the next big major leg up. True that this movement to the downside is a little bit aggressive, but still can be countered as a corrective structure in a double zigzag, right? They are complex to count. They can be very aggressive, but a double zigzag is a double zigzag down. You know, you can count it very, very nicely. I mean, there is this possible three waver, the longest correction that you would label as your wave X, and then you got this bit of a three wavy move down here. Okay, it's a little bit tricky to count it, but you would have to prioritize a double zigzag to the downside in a bullish market structure, right? I do like the idea of this being a five waver. You know, it just fits better with an expanding fifth wave. But in a bullish market structure where you have the potential of going to higher levels and still label a wave 4 inside of the momentum, you always need to prioritize the bullish case, because you're in bullish market structure and the movements to the upside are still looking incredibly bullish. No matter how bearish you feel because of your emotions, the structure is bullish, guys. And any movements down to big bases of support, and if you do have more counts of bullishness, you still need to prioritize. Always being aware of the information that you have. You know, I am aware of this leg down, you know, being an impulse, you know, which is, you know, I'm starting to be a little bit in doubt right now. You know, this is the moment that, yeah, you know, I do respect this move to get a bounce, you know, and fail to get to higher levels to then form another leg down, you know, either in a C wave or in a third wave, right? So we just need to prioritize the bullish case still, because the leg down can be counted as a bearish five wave structure, but also a corrective double zigzag. So anyway, yeah, let's go right away. SEI pumping, love it. I do hold some SEI. I did buy SEI at the 20-25 cent region. Let's take a look at SEI. But yeah, SEI is doing absolutely awesome. Yeah, we talked about SEI a few weeks ago as well. Yeah, based on this descending wedgie structure, a lot of people were talking about SEI because, you know, where I bought SEI was in this region, actually, around about the 30-25 cent zone. And people were a little bit mad because we did actually, you know, move to lower levels. I was looking at this as a possible expanding fifth wave, corrective move, and forming a higher low here. And I loaded up some SEI, so I'm slightly in a profit now, but I've been holding here for the last, you know, few months in a loss on SEI. So the strategy here was simple: hold on to your bags or buy more, right, on SEI, which is SEI is taking off here really, really nicely, which is good to see. Yeah, new bullish market structure. Yeah, possible multiple 1-2 here setup. We've got a 1-2, higher low, another 1-2. Yeah, this could be really shooting off in a wave 3 here, and could really blow our socks off, guys. So whoever bought SEI in the last few weeks based on this descending wedgie, I mean, and you know, this is also why I support ICP. When you do take a look at the launch of SEI, which, you know, had a very insane bullish rally, you know, you look at this, and this is corrective, guys. This momentum to the downside is very, very corrective. So, you know, you expect SEI to get that rally at some point eventually, which is basically what we could be seeing, right, from the last week's price action, right? The initial stages of rocketing. So SEI is doing pretty nice. Very nice indeed. Where will you short BTC? Where I am thinking to short BTC is 120 to 125k, but I am actually bullish. If I'm looking for shorts, there will be only for a scalp to take out these local lows of at 116.5k. And if we do not get the reaction that I need at this zone, failing to break above the 120.5k zone, I'm looking for new all-time highs based on the highest probability momentum that we have. So what are all these questions of where you're looking to short Bitcoin? Yeah, you know, there is a zone that I'm thinking about shorting, which is in this area, okay, as explained, all right, at the beginning of the stream. But, you know, let's get up there and see how the price does, because it might just break out the previous day value area low and the previous day point of control, and it just takes a massive pump to 122k, and then, you know, it's going to be looking bullish. I'm not interested in shorting anywhere in this zone if the market is really getting above it, right, above this area very successfully. So the levels of interest is pretty simple. Order block, daily open, previous day value area low, previous day point of control area, you know, 50% to the golden pocket is where I want to see some struggles on the price of Bitcoin to consider a short, position. But what I am looking at here for Bitcoin is actually to create new all-time highs. You know, the structure is bullish. The movements to the upside are still very bullish. This is our first major dump that we can be a little bit in doubt. But for the moment it's bullish, guys. So what about where to long, right? What about longing the trend? What about longing Bitcoin? Longing the trend? What about longing the trend, right? What is this thing about wanting to know where to short, right? What about the longs? What about longing the last few weeks, right? And the last few days as we hit all-time high, right? Big swings, $5,000-$10,000, you know, even $15,000 from 2 weeks ago, right? We did dump down $5,000 yesterday. If you catch that short, great. Make sure to take profits because the structure is bullish. What's this thing about shorting right now? What's this interest of shorting? I mean, don't get me wrong. We could form a lower high and dump down, right? And we look for that three-wave structure. But my level of interest is a bit higher, 120 to 120.5k. You know, this box over here, just to see how we react at that zone. Pretty interested to know where the anchored VWAP is from all-time high. That would be interesting to know. It's probably round about that zone. Yeah, just slightly below 120k. Anchored VWAP from all-time high. Could be a zone where we could struggle. A little bit low for my taste. Anchored VWAP from all-time high, where we have the 382 Fibonacci. Bit aggressive. I wouldn't be interested in this short, me personally. The zone is, for me, is clear where I'm interested in looking for shorts, maybe. Understanding the bullish market structure. But we want to know where to short because you are going to short, Andy, and we'll follow you, says Phantom. BTC dominance going crazy. A lot of people watching the Bitcoin dominance here with the drop. Yeah, it is dropping down as we speak, guys. Look at this. It is moving down. Bitcoin dominance. Say, I did not buy, guys, down here at the 15-20 cent level. I'm ever so slightly in a profit on Zay, not by much on my spot bags. But it still looks awesome. You know, this is the beginning stages, in my opinion, right? Big leg up, clear three-wave structure, and we did talk about this wedgie scenario, right, where to add up to your spot bags or get into swing longs, right, all depending on your strategy. And when you do take a look at this three-wave move down, ICP is lagging behind, right? ICP is the one that I'm really leaning a little bit heavy, guys. I'm actually quite heavy for an altcoin because my goodness, this is in the box, guys. It's in the box. It's in the box. And there is higher probability for this box to break to the upside and not to the downside. And, when you take a look at SEI, where is it? We need to take a look at SEI here and compare the movements, right? On SEI, for example, look at the impulsive move that we've had on SEI to the upside, right, on launch, right, and the three-wave move to the downside, and the forming the box accumulation area. Now look at ICP, just so we can connect here the dots. Big major rally, big three-wave structure, finding a base, right? Simple analysis. You can get your kid, guys, and he can watch this, and he will tell you what is the highest probability on this area to happen in the next coming weeks. Big move up, large multi-monthly three-wave corrective structure, finding a solid base that eventually you expect it to pop out. I'm not interested in longing or buying any of this here. I'm interested when we are in the box. That's where I'm interested. That's where I want to position myself before we actually break out. I think it's quite simple, guys. Come on. Smashing the likes, great education, says Jacob. Much love to you. The winner of $500. Confirm to me if you received the $500 in the comment section right away. I know you did, because if not, you would have been going mad. You did not send me the $500. SEI is much better project than ICP, but I do think it runs too. Divine Hood, my man, much love to you. Yeah, SEI, we've been talking about SEI. It was the original Ethereum killer when it launched, right? Awesome project as well. And this is why I did, put some SEI in my portfolio. Because, it's an awesome project. It was the Ethereum killer back when it launched. But yeah, we could be seeing, really, really taking off here, right? This has been a very, very long corrective structure, guys. It's been very, very long. It's been brutal. A lot of people have left the game. Screw crypto. Crypto's a scam, right? No altcoin season because there's no money printer, right? All of this, noise. When we take a look at the chart, guys, we've been very much sure where to buy. Where to buy. I mean, load up, guys. It's an average zone, right? So, I mean, who cares? Regardless if you're swing trading with low leverage, like a 2-3x leverage, or if you are buying up, who cares buying at 22? Who cares buying at 15? Who cares buying at 16, or even 26? When you realize that, the bottom formation, right, is likely going to happen in this zone, right? So it's a very, very average zone to buy. DCA. Bitcoin right now on the bounce. Nice little bounce from the 117K region. Let's see how this bounce, develops in the next coming hours. I will be updating the Telegram and the Discord, even though 𝗬𝗆's really in charge of the Discord. He's been putting the updates. He did a private live stream, guys. If you are interested in joining the Discord, where you have 𝗬𝗍𝘆, mainly. I do hop in once in a while, okay? He provides the updates, doing private live streams on YouTube, on the Discord, with what could happen. He got into an epic short yesterday. You do have the Discord down below, guys. It is the 5th link, okay? Join the Legends trading community down below to join the Discord Legends, okay? Make sure to click on there, or join the Telegram where you can join the Signals channel or some different alerts, guys. Very just easy to just click on the first link and you join the alerts channel on the Telegram, okay? If you want some more updates and information, or join the Signals channel, right, where I'm looking to get into some different Bitcoin trade setups. 𝗬𝗍𝘆𝗽𝗍 say has the top of bearish pitchfork at 50 cent. I think at least it pumps to that over the next few weeks. Yeah, I don't use pitchfork, but I know it can be very powerful. Okay, I'm not against it, but wow, look at 𝗖𝗂𝗍𝗽. What is 𝗖𝗂𝗍𝗽? What is 𝗖𝗂𝗍𝗽? Let's take a look at some altcoins. As Bitcoin is covered, guys, we remain bullish on Bitcoin. We have some levels where the price could struggle, but the momentum is still bullish. This is the first leg to the downside that is a little bit intimidating. It is a bit intimidating. It's the kind of leg down that could provide a lower high, right? It can provide a lower high. So we're just going to have to be watching very carefully how the market does pump from here. If it pumps and it explodes, then up we go. So we're just going to have to pay attention how we get to those levels, right, of resistance. Fala is behind. Sherry, let's take a look at Fala Network, because, I mean, Fala Network, remember, when we do take a look at the Bitcoin, the altcoin season, right, how the money flow does go through altcoins. Fala Network is still an awesome project, made in USA. It's in everything, okay? It's in AI, it's lagging behind, but this is a low cap, less than 100 million market cap. But if you're looking for those 10x's potentials, right? Well, this is eventually one of them that has that 10x potential, without a doubt. I have it in my portfolio. You do your own research. The team is very active. The project is awesome. Roadmap looks awesome as well, not only for 25, but for 2026. And this is in everything. It's a layer 2. It's Oracle. It's in AI. It's deep in. It's made in USA. And yeah, Fala Network is still at the base, basically. It is still at the base. You know, and I think this one could eventually, you know, do very, very well at some stage, right? Once we get that loved altcoin season that we all want. I did manage to profit on this altcoin on my spot bags. Who remembers this, guys? Any legit follower from 2024 where we bought at this area, and we, you know, I took over 50% on this, and it did do over a 4x from the 10-11 cent zone. It did get up almost to 60 cents. I didn't sell at 60 cents. I sold most at around about 45 cents or so. With the spike, it was just breaking up the highs here. But this was the exit strategy zone. Claim the highs, locking in 50% of what I bought here, making profits, and holding a moon bag. Of course, that moon bag came back down to break even. So it's all good, you know, as long as we are in break even zone. You know, we're not at a loss. You actually made money on this one. All of your favorite crypto influencers that were just saying buy with no strategy. Well, you bought and you're holding down, you know, a lot of your coins, right? They do not take a look at the charts. They do not take a look at the, you know, structures and cycles and the best zones to buy. They'll just say this is an awesome project, you know, buy because 2025 is going to be great. And, you know, a lot of these channels did get a lot of hate based on the correction that we did get, right, in the last few months, especially Q1 of 2025, just after the inauguration day of the president, right, which was the top on Bitcoin. So we are very, very specific on where to buy those altcoins, guys, at low prices. We'll be good, guys. We'll be just fine. You could also take a look at Casper now. Andy says boot. Casper. I mean, Casper had an awesome rally throughout the last few years. I mean, for me, this one already had a bull run. This one had an independent bull run, right? Compared to the other altcoins, this one did over 100x already. So throughout, 2022, 2023, right, this one had already an independent bull run, which was insane. Eventually, yeah, I'm not going to analyze but you could say that this is your first wave of the bull run, and this is your corrective structure. Could the low be in here? I mean, this could be interesting to analyze on a slightly lower time frame. I know there's been a lot of hype behind Casper. A little bit skeptical. I will do analysis on this one. This move down has been too aggressive. There is a way of counting this as an impulse, but this movement down does look quite aggressive as well. It does look very aggressive, this movement down. I would be a little bit in doubt on Casper here if this is the low. For the moment, the movements down that we've had in the last few days are looking corrective. So yeah, these movements do look quite corrective. A 112 here would be the bullish speculation. You do not want to get Casper beneath this low. And 112 would be the speculation right now to get that breakout in the next coming days. Looking at the local structure of the last few weeks. So it does look okay locally from the last 2 weeks price action to continue that momentum. Casper is the next Bitcoin. It was created to kill Bitcoin, says Roger. Wow, you're very bullish on Casper, my man. It was designed, it was created to kill Bitcoin. Wow. I guess I need to do a little bit of research on Casper then. Thanks, Andy. I feel it's going to moon when smart contracts release, says Boot, based on Casper. Yeah, we got someone very bullish here on Casper. Aditya here giving the love. We had Devil here also in the comment section. I got it, says Jacob. You got the $500. Let's get that like button, guys, to 500 likes. That would be absolutely awesome. We got 275. Every meme coin was the same aspiration. Yeah, also. Umbrella Network, please. Umbrella Network is one of them that I'm holding in the loss, guys, okay? You could not lie about this. Umbrella Network, it is trying to stretch its legs. It's trying to stretch its legs. I mean, this is brutal, absolutely brutal. But yeah, this is the kind of box under the bear market lows that you could see that, reversal, right? The selling pressure has gone eventually, just because the selling pressure has been brutal, right, throughout the last few months. And now it's found a solid base, right, for many weeks, even for a few months now here. So, I mean, this is just looking for that recovery bounce. There's nothing to chart here on this one. It's finding a floor, right? It's finding a floor, just like you found a floor here. The question is, will it pump and dump, or will it continue to the upside? That is the main question. That is the main question here on these risky low cap coins. So there's really not much to chart on that. BTC dominance is dropping. Yes, it is. We're just testing those lows here from last Friday, and it does want to dip down beneath those lows. It is attempting it. So Bitcoin dominance is dropping. Let's remember the overall trend, guys, which is still, it's still uptrending, legends, okay? There's no doubt that we will get that altcoin season. Will it be this month? starting this month, or will it start next month, or will it start in September, right? There will be a moment that it will collapse, right? Regardless if we get another high or not, right? That is the overall question. When is the collapse going to start on the Bitcoin dominance? We do know it's very likely going to happen this year, but we just don't know quite if it's going to be July, August, September, October, right? So that's we could see the initial stages here according to the cycles here on the altcoin season index. It could be, we've been here trading at Bitcoin season for a few months now, so it would make sense to get that reversal on altcoins. Let's take a look here at the rest. I'm nervous for any 𝗖𝗿𝘆𝗽𝗍𝗽 coins after mantra. Well, you never know, right? This is why you need to diversify. Don't have your favorite coin, even though my favorite one is Chainlink. If Chainlink goes to zero, then I will take a significant hit. Of course, it won't be my life savings, but if Chainlink goes to zero, right, that all has a major collapse of 96%, 99%, like mantra, I will take a big hit. I will take a significant hit, but it won't, it won't be my life savings, right? I mainly hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the biggest position eventually, like it should for many people. If Bitcoin was your biggest holding throughout the last, few years, then eventually you would still be very happy. So yeah, not much more here on Bitcoin. We got a bit of this fancy drawing on Bitcoin. What's going on? What happened here? What happened here with the drawings on Bitcoin? Who did this? Who did this? Anyway, legends, not much more. Bitcoin is getting a little bit of a bounce. The levels have been discussed here very, very nicely. We do have, if we want to take a look at the Bitcoin analysis on the different scenarios that could happen, we have a little bit of respect to this move. I have to say, it's the first move really that I do have a little bit of respect to potentially see a lower high, but we need more information. The market structure is bullish. We do see, we do have the market structure still being very, very bullish on the price of Bitcoin. So, one of the scenarios eventually is looking for that continuation to the upside till proven otherwise. We got our most important zone of resistance, which is at 120 to 120.5k zone, where the price could struggle. It could struggle to break successfully above. If it breaks successfully above that level, then I would just be leaning on the high chance of reaching new all-time highs at some stage in the very near future, right? Give or take a few days. So yeah, guys, remember, if you are interested in trading, if you haven't signed up for weeks already, there is that week's competition. Okay, there's a 900,000 prize pool. Okay, you do have the direct link to join down below. If you haven't signed up to weeks, make sure to sign up. Okay, with the link down below in the description. It's the fourth link. Weeks, you do get 20% cashback, deposit bonus, 25% on your fees. Okay, cut forever, guys. Once you sign up on that fourth link, you have Bitcoin, hundreds of altcoins to trade there, and they only require an email and a password. A great alternative as well, to all of these bigger exchanges such as Binance, right, that do require a lot of information, is Bluffin. Bluffin also, such as Weeks, is a great alternative to the big exchanges that do require a lot of information, and you got the biggest bonuses available, such as 20% cashback, right, on your deposit. Take advantage, you guys. You got the second link or the fourth link. Another way to support the channel, another way for you to trade on different platforms, right? They do have a lot of your information and they do know all of your moves. You probably want to stay away from them, right? And Weeks or Bluffin is a great alternative, so guys. If you want that, sign up down below, which you get all of those different perks. Futures trading is dangerous. Yeah, it is dangerous, but it's very lucrative. It's very good if you know how to do it, right? It is dangerous, but I'm very conservative and I'm very good with my high probability trading setups and levels. Okay, of course it's dangerous. Everything's dangerous in life. Buying crypto is dangerous, But if you know how to trade, you're eventually going to make some pretty significant gains, right, throughout the next, coming months and years, right? You can have a good track record. You can it all is getting into very high quality trading setups. It's all about that. Don't get into every single long and short. You don't need that. You have a higher probability of losing money if you do that, right? So, there is ways. It is risky, but this is why you're here to learn. I do have a masterclass to teach you, a community, and it's slow, consistent growth. Slow, consistent growth. Andy, you never checked Ton. Let's take a look at Ton right away. Devil, are you doing a stream? Devil, it should be around in the comment section. I never did take a look at Ton. Let's take a look at Ton right away for someone, okay? I try and go through most of the comments, guys, but it's a bit of a mission impossible. Let's take a look at Ton right away for somebody as we do get that like button to above 300 likes, okay? I'm going to go and take a hike right away, and I want that like button to get above 300. Let's go. If we get that like button above 300, we're going to take a look at another altcoin, okay? So make sure to get your altcoin down below. Ton looks good. Let me just take that hike and then come back. Let's see if that like button is doing something. And yes, it is, legends. Yes, it is. Come on, that like button did do something. Come on, let's help the algorithm here on YouTube. Let's take a look. Guys, stay cautious. Hopium, stay cautious, guys. Always stay cautious, guys. Sleep with one eye open. Always. Stay cautious. Let's go right away and take a look at Ton. Ton. Let's get a chart here where we do have some volume. OKX. Maybe. Ton US dollar tether. Isn't this listed on Coinbase? Only on Binance. Oh. Yeah, let's go with the crypto chart here just because of the data. But we can't get volume or anything on this chart. I like where it's sitting at the moment, right? You got the highs of this range on Ton. And we are finding proof of support here, right? The highs that we have from this range of 2023 is really finding strong support after a major leg to the upside. So I would want to label this 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would not want to see one more low here on Ton because, that would very likely complete a 5-wave structure. So for the moment, it has a 3-wave structure to the downside, and we are finding good support. Let's take a look at the lower time frames here on how the market is developing. Yeah, we did hit the 0.88 potentially. We didn't hit the 0.88 Fibonacci. Ton on the chart, this is very, very long indeed. Very, very long for this to be a correction. If you got this first leg up, if we're labeling it as an impulse, this is extremely long for a corrective move from this movement up. I have my doubts on this one. I definitely have my doubts looking at this structure. You did sweep up these lows. You got a really nice base throughout the last couple of weeks here. As altcoins are popping and the Bitcoin dominance is dropping, you would speculate on Ton getting a recovery from this stage, from this zone without a doubt. So we could give it a little bit of priority here to get a larger pump relief from where we've been sitting at for the last few weeks, because it's found a nice base. So not going to do much analysis. These coins are very, very choppy and volatile. Anyway, legends, thank you very much for joining today's stream. Feeling a bit tired, voice is going. Orca, please. We can take a look at a few altcoins on the next stream. Looks bearish. Looks to me like it's it's coping BTC. Much love. 𝗖𝗍 is super juicy. Andy, 5 waves completed. Wow, 𝗖𝗍. I remember I used to hold this crypto back in the previous cycle. Is it NIM US dollar? 𝗖𝗍. Wow. This was originally designed to be money, right? Which is very interesting how it works. How the blockchain works on 𝗖𝗍. But yeah, I mean, this it looks juicy, but it is still going down. It's not forming a little bit of a range. It just tested the lows here. Not too interested in this. But you know, maybe it could be the low, guys. Maybe it's that spring point and it does get a bounce. You know, take it with a pinch of salt, guys. There's so many altcoins. There's so many good stuff and so many bad stuff. Okay, make sure to diversify. Do your research. Much love to everybody. I will catch you up in the next stream. Smashing up that like button as we leave the stream. Bitcoin is sitting at 117.9k, getting a little bit of a dip. Got a nice bounce from that support. Much love to everybody. Thank you very much. If you want more info, join the Telegram down below. It is the first link. Thank you to everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.